In today's video, my friends, we're taking a look at the Formovie S5. This is a laser 1080p projector, but the detail is surprisingly good. Don't forget to hit the red button to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and click the notification bell to get my next video first. So right at the moment you can pick this projector up for less than £500 and you get some free gifts including a screen, a backpack and an HDMI cable. I'll leave the details. It's from Nothing Projector. They sent me this across to review, but they've not asked me to say anything good or bad about it, but the links will be in the description. Now this type of projector follows a theme of smaller projectors. However, there are some really good points to it which I'll cover in this video. This is about the same size as a Mac Mini, and in the box you get a very simple remote control, which sadly is not backlit, but I wasn't expecting it to be, and you also get your power cable and your instructions inside. To give you a sense of scale, this is it against my iPhone, a standard size iPhone, and as you can see this thing is pretty small. It does come with a tripod mount underneath as well, which a lot of people will use, and I do like to use a tripod with this type of projector, but I will also be showing you it on a desk as well. But this thing looks the business. It's made of plastic and a fabric back, but the plastic is almost a rubbery type feel and the whole thing feels very premium. Now I'm not sure whether yours, if you purchased this, would come with a Chinese setup, but mine did. This is a review model that I've got, but I was able to change the language and then install Project IV TV launcher, which then just bypasses the Chinese system, which is there as standard. And this has all access to the whole projector where you can go in and change all the settings and you won't know any different. Now this projector is full of very smart technology in terms of its interface, its keystone correction and also its autofocus, and being a laser device it's surprisingly bright, and I'll come on to that in a few moments. When you first turn this thing on it will automatically correct the focus and also the keystone correction, but you've also got a manual control as well, which I'll show you. Now the launcher that I'm using is showing 3 HDMI ports, but the projector obviously only has 1, so don't get confused by that. This is the interface on the launcher, and you can install different applications on this very simply. However, I thought that it's just so much easier if you install a device in the back. I've got a Fire Stick, you can use a Roku device, an Apple TV, something along those lines. But the picture quality is incredible. Now, if you do see any flickering at any point in this video, that's just down to my camera frequency and it's nothing to do with the projector itself. This room is very light, and as I lower the blind on the right hand side, you can just see it coming down. You can see that the image starts to pop. And believe me, this being 1100 lumens is very, very impressive, and it seems to retain that brightness even when you go up to a bigger screen. This is about 90 inches. My screen is 100 inches, as you can see, but this does get very bright indeed. You've still got access to all of the main menu features, even if you are using the launcher, and you can go in and change everything, and I'll show you that in a little bit more detail in a few moments. I mentioned that this has a laser light source, and so therefore it's going to last an awful long time. It also is going to be brighter than your standard bulb. This is 1100 ANSI lumens and it has a contrast ratio of 1500:1. The resolution maximum is 1080p, but it does decode 4K down to 1080p. It's not 3D, but it has got some extra features built in, like, as I mentioned, the autofocus and the omnidirectional auto calibration and auto keystone correction. So when you move the projector, it will automatically straighten it and position a straight screen for you. The recommended screen size is a range between 40 inches and 120 inches, and so I've got it at around 90 inches, so it's absolutely fine. And when I say fine, the detail that it delivers is really quite surprisingly good. Now what I'm going to do is pause this video and then just zoom in, and you can see light is coming in through the blind. It's the middle of the day, but this is still a very bright image that it's delivering, and as I zoom in you get an idea of the level of detail that this is delivering. So I have to say I was really impressed, considering it's just a tiny little box the same size as a Mac Mini. The other thing that certainly impressed me right out of the box was the color accuracy. It just felt so natural, and skin tones, no matter whether I was watching just normal movies or TV, the skin tones were great and the general colors were absolutely fine. There was no problem at all. Sometimes when you're looking at this type of projector, the image can be slightly oversaturated. Now, as I said, this has got smart technology built into it. It's got things like auto obstacle avoidance when it's setting up, so it will reposition the screen. You can also just make adjustments manually. You've got 4-point and you've also got fine tuning where you can manually go in and drag the screen, which is something which I do like because a lot of these automatic machines don't always get it 100% right all the time. Now, I wanted to show you the sound on this as well because the speakers are developed by Denon, an amazing name in sound, and for two 5-watt speakers, they get surprisingly good.
Till it feels like you. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
So that was recorded from around 1.5 meters away from the projector, and I was surprised that the bass is better than I thought, and the whole thing just sounded quite good. Now, I still recommend that you get a separate source, a soundbar, or a 5.1 surround sound system, because having this big screen does warrant a bigger sound. Okay, so I've now made the screen size fit my screen that I've got installed, so you're now seeing a 100-inch image, and I think it's doing a pretty good job. The only thing that I would say maybe on the negative is the 1500:1 contrast does show when you've got a bigger screen like this. You're losing some of the light because you're a bit further away, and so therefore the contrast is just a little bit on the dark side. But don't get me wrong, it still looks fantastic, and I think, well, you let me know in the comments. This is how far I've got it away in order to get that, and it's around about 12 feet. And as you can see, if I pan around my room, that is on the right hand side there, and it's delivering this type of image. By the way, look how bright this room is, and it's still delivering that image, which I think is extraordinary for this type of projector. It really is. You know, I'm not saying it just because it's this projector, because a lot of these projectors now have just come on leaps and bounds in the last 12 to 18 months. And a couple of years ago, you would have really struggled to have got this level of brightness from such a small machine, and particularly one under £500. The menu system which is installed on the projector is comprehensive. There's a couple of things which I just didn't think added anything. So for instance, you've got AI picture quality, which I didn't really notice too much difference. And there were a couple of the settings within the picture modes, which I didn't notice that much changes. And things like dynamic backlight didn't do an awful lot. You do have motion control, and I had mine set to low. And if you are playing games, then I do recommend that you go in and change it into game mode, because that will then lower the latency. Speaking of latency, although there's no official figure on the website for latency, some reports have said that in game mode it will go to as low as 12 milliseconds, which for this type of projector isn't so bad. Right, speaking of game mode, well, gaming on this is fine. It's no issue at all. And on a 100-inch screen, it is great. And I certainly didn't notice any particular latency issues. One thing that I did notice is that the contrast ratio, the limited contrast ratio, is more noticeable in game mode. And so I haven't adjusted it so that you can see that, but you do need to go in and just adjust the brightness slightly. Just give it a little pump of brightness, maybe 5 points or something like that, and that will then solve that issue. But certainly in terms of the saturation, the image quality, and the actual gameplay, gaming is really very fun on this projector. So my friends, I do think that this offers great value for money. It's a great quality projector delivering an incredible image for the money, and you get those extra gifts at the moment as well. So be sure to check out the link in the description. That will take you to the Nothing Projector page, and there's more information there. But this is the Formovie S5, and I definitely can recommend it. It's a great little machine.